This story is a collaborative narrative written by Mahim and his friend Arif, both of whom hail from the village of Panchpika Paskimpura in the 11th Dakshinpura Union under Gaptali Upjala Bogara. Their village has long been a source of various intriguing tales, one of the most notable being about an elder named Bakchamia. Known for recounting mysterious and often eerie stories, he once shared an account that deserves attention. The event is believed to have occurred approximately 100 to 200 years ago when a devout spiritual figure visited the village. At that time, the area was predominantly populated by followers of other faiths. This pious individual took it upon himself to preach Islam and spread its principles. As part of his mission, he purchased 7 bighas of land where he established a mosque and an adjacent graveyard. He dedicated his life to teaching the locals about religious values and imparting knowledge, particularly to children who he tutored in the Quran. Legends even suggest that some of his students were jinns. His efforts led to the further dissemination of Islam in the area, including among the jinn community. Eventually, due to old age, he passed away and was laid to rest in the very graveyard he had established. Many years elapsed before another spiritual figure appeared in the village during the 1980s. This ascetic-like person began residing at the mosque, caring for its premises and tending to the graveyard without seeking any material compensation. He only accepted offerings if given willingly. The villagers held him in high regard. However, during this period, a sudden increase in robberies plagued the area. To combat this, the villagers formed a night patrol group of 15 to 20 members, including Bakchamia. On one particular night, during their patrol duties, 4 or 5 members decided to check the mosque and the graveyard. Among them, someone remarked on the spectacles worn by the ascetic. It looked exquisitely unique and valuable. They hatched a plan to seize it, but one of them refused to be part of it, leaving the other 3 to proceed with their scheme. As they neared the mosque, they found its doors open. Peeking inside, they were startled to see it filled with men clad in white robes, all engaged in prayer. Overwhelmed with fear, they quickly decided to flee. At that very moment, the ascetic seemed to speak out of nowhere, "Children, we are praying. Why have you come to disturb us? Leave now." Terrified, they ran back and later shared their experience with others in the village. Initially, they withheld the truth about their intentions because they feared ostracization for their attempted misconduct. Ironically, they were meant to protect the village from thieves but ended up plotting an act of thievery themselves. The ascetic left the village some time later and was not seen again for many years. However, during his stay, a peculiar phenomenon began to occur in the graveyard. The area, once teeming with foxes that would disturb graves by digging for corpses, underwent an unusual change. Witnesses claimed that foxes attempting to dig would mysteriously perish before they could succeed. Villagers often found dead foxes on their rounds in the morning yet discovered no signs of bloodshed or injury on them. Strangely enough, no one knew who was responsible for removing the dead animals or what became of them. Shifting focus to another event involving Mahim's grandfather, who had recently married at that time. One day he developed severe abdominal pain that refused to subside despite consultations with several doctors and traditional healers. Heeding his mother's suggestion, he visited the ascetic at the mosque after performing Maghrib prayers. When he arrived, he found the ascetic seated in the mosque courtyard, softly chuckling and seemingly conversing with someone, yet no one else was visible nearby. As Mahim's grandfather approached, the ascetic abruptly said, "Quiet. My son is here, don't scare him." Instantly, an eerie silence enveloped the area. The ascetic then called him over and asked about his ailment. After sharing his condition, Mahim's grandfather received some ruqya, spiritual healing prayers, and herbal remedies from the man of God. Within days he recovered completely and never experienced that pain again. Another strange experience later unfolded with Mahim's grandfather near his in-laws' home, which was not far from his own village. One evening after spending time with his wife's family, he started walking home late at night through a shortcut across a field. As he walked under the moonlight, an unfamiliar sweet fragrance wafted through the air, causing him to halt nervously. When he looked around, he saw a tall figure clad in pristine white garments walking toward the mosque graveyard at a slow pace. Gripped by fear. As dawn approached, worshippers began to gather at the mosque for far prayers. Following the completion of the prayers, an unusual sight startled the congregation. A group of strangers stood close to the praying worshippers. As they finished the prayer with the customary salute, these strangers collectively made a loud thud-like sound near the area of prostration. What happened next left everyone stunned. They vanished before everyone's eyes in mere moments. This extraordinary incident was witnessed by all present. Since then, a series of mysterious occurrences unfolded in the mosque. For example, even after cleaning had been meticulously done, inexplicable footprints often appeared on the floors. Such uncanny events fueled a sense of fear among the local residents, making many too afraid to visit the mosque for tahajjud prayers. Amid this atmosphere of unease, one night 3 thieves decided to steal items from the mosque, including a tube well, pipes, and a motor. They spent considerable time attempting to dismantle and remove the parts. However, they frequently heard faint coughing sounds that unnerved them, prompting them to hide in nearby bushes out of fear. When they returned to resume their efforts, they were astonished to find that all their progress, loosened pipes and dug up soil, had inexplicably reverted back to its original state as if untouched. Despite repeated attempts, each effort resulted in similar phenomena. Finally, they heard an ethereal voice issuing a stern warning. If they persisted in tampering with the tube well or pipes, they would be buried beneath the mosque in such a way that even their remains would never be discovered. Terrified by this threat, the trio fled immediately. Among them, one thief became gravely ill after the incident and eventually passed away. Before his death, he confessed his wrongdoing and expressed deep regret for his actions. Stories like these continue to surround the mosque, fostering both intrigue and apprehension among locals. Now, dear listener, let us delve deeper into a fascinating historical tale tied to this mosque. About 150 to 200 years ago, a distinguished spiritual leader, a revered saint, visited this region. He dedicated his entire life to the service of faith. According to local lore, he was accompanied by disciples who were said to be supernatural beings, jinn, and are believed to still exist, albeit without overtly revealing themselves. Fast-forwarding to 2023 during Ramadan's 25th night, Mahim and Arif were present at this mosque along with several familiar faces who had gathered for itikaf prayers. Late into the night, as most people were asleep, a Quranic recitation echoed from the mosque's veranda. Though curious, no one dared to step outside at first. When someone finally mustered the courage to investigate, they discovered that no one was there but heard the same recitation again upon returning inside. The following morning, they shared the incident with an elder in their community who admitted he too had experienced the phenomenon but refrained from speaking about it, fearing it might alarm others. This mosque holds historical significance as the resting place of that great spiritual leader who played an essential role in spreading Islamic teachings across this region. Saints like him sacrificed their comfort and family life to illuminate lands far away with the light of Islam. Their sacrifices inspired countless individuals while fostering unity and guidance grounded in faith. Figures such as Khan Jahan Ali, R.A., Shah Jalal, R.A., and Shah Paran, R.A., are prime examples of spiritual leaders who lived lives anchored in Islamic principles. They devoted themselves entirely to teaching the values of Sharia and Sunnah while bringing people closer to Allah's divine message. Unfortunately, after their deaths, certain practices emerged in some places that deviated from their teachings, a stark contrast to their unwavering commitment to Islamic ideals during their lifetimes. It is our duty as adherents of Islam to uphold its authentic teachings and honor their sacrifices by staying true to the essence of their legacy while fostering faith that centers on humility, devotion, and justice.